again. I'm here today to discuss something that you might have considered before, but it's an important thought. And that is the little kid you had inside you, the fact that you're no longer thinking about that little kid or letting that little kid come out to play. Finding the kid in you helps you to realign your life and see it with humor and fun and joy. So I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why you should do that, and I highly recommend you do. There are many different points to being a kid that help you in your life, and I'd like to tell you what they are. So the first one I'm thinking about is that kids forgive. It doesn't take them a long time to do so. They do it quickly because they're not really looking for anything in depth as an answer. They just want to know that you didn't mean it. So they forgive quickly because they can't imagine that you don't want to have a relationship with them. They can't imagine that you might feel badly towards them for any reason because their intentions are pure. So the fact that you can forgive easily is a really good reason to be a kid again. Another reason that you might think about forgiving quickly too is that it's freeing. And by that I mean it's a burden when you carry around something like that. And you don't really realize it until you realize that everything you're doing and all of that seems to have lost its luster, and that's because you're pressed about all that. So allowing yourself to to let that float away is the best thing you could possibly do for your health. Other thing, and it might seem obvious, is that kids have fun. Maybe because you're a grown-up, you take things a little more seriously, and while that's okay to a point, sooner or later, it's kinda nice if you're gonna let your hair down, you know? We're supposed to be enjoying this life, and kids know how to do it. It's ju every little minute is a possible new treat, a new idea, a new thought, something new to look at. They treat everything if it's new or like it's new, even if they've seen it before because they're looking at it differently each time they see it. It's surprising that they can do that, but we forget about that. We forget that maybe there's another way to see something. So yeah, having a little fun is kinda nice, isn't it? When you think about the kind of fun that kids recognize, they don't have to be in a special place or doing something special or with, people that are considered, top of the line or whatever, you know? They find it within themselves. Uh, it's something that's there all the time, and it brings them so much joy. So they don't need to have certain conditions to make themselves happy. And I think that's something we can adopt. It's good policy, I would say. I have a sense of humor. Now, granted, that was a family thing. That's the way we operated. We tried to outpun each other and all the rest. But having a sense of humor allows you to see the fun things in life, and that's wonderful. Because most things can be looked at in several different ways, and all you have to do is consider the ways that give you pleasure and that make you laugh. So another definition in terms of having fun that kids seem to understand is allowing yourself to play. Finding pleasure in everything that you do is really playing. I consider myself a playful person. It allows me to meet people in kind of a special way because they allow themselves to let down their guard and to talk to you. And that's what people really want. They want to know who this person really is and they want to relate to them, right? So I think that's something that's worth thinking about too. So always making time for fun is a good idea because if you're not used to to having fun or to looking for it, then make time for it. Start off by scheduling a certain time of your day for it, and then look into things that you enjoy doing and seeing if you can't put another angle on it, another focus, you know? Look for the fun things in everything you do. You'll find that sooner or later that time that you schedule will expand and you develop this habit of finding fun in just about anything. And believe me, it'll serve you well. Schedule it if you have to. Become that person that wants to have an adventurous mindset and set out for fun. Okay? One of the things about kids, and I'm sure you know this, is they're very creative, which is interesting because this day and age, we're required to be creative in a lot of our jobs. Or sooner or later, we have to find a mindset that's creative because the job is changing even as you're learning the new one. So you have to be quite adaptable. Being creative, though, is also something that suits us emotionally. It allows us to kind of just drop into whatever we're doing and lose ourselves. Kids know that. That when they say they lost track of time, they mean it. Because when you're creative, you have no sense of time. You're just enjoying what you're doing. And you got probably somebody else there to help you with it, and so it takes on a life of its own. It expands. So if you can, try to become a little more creative. It does help you too to see things differently. There's another thing about being creative, and that is that if it comes by you naturally or you learn how to be creative, you don't listen to judgments from others. Kids do that normally. Like they're so proud of themselves for being able to figure out something or create something that they never did before that they're quite happy with it. It really doesn't matter what anybody else thinks or says. The thing is, it was the journey, the creation, the the way they went about doing it, and then creating the final product. It was the whole picture. So allow yourself that. Part of this being creative thing is that you learn something new. I can tell you that as a senior, learning something new uh, is really enjoyable. Maybe before you didn't have the time for it. You were too busy just trying to make a living, or raise kids, or do any number of things that were necessary. And now you've got the time so that you can look into things that you never did before but were interested in. Or you can even develop new interests. But that's something that kids do. They've got incredible imaginations. So use that imagination you had once upon a time and think about what you could do. You just have to have the right mindset. But that's one thing about kids. They allow you to figure things out in a different way.